Welcome to Help 100 Schools. As a professional in education dedicated to expanding enrollment, you're already a fundamental part of this movement. We are here together to amplify the positive ripple effect that comes from advancing education. We're committed to keeping listeners inspired with timely lessons, valuable stories, and insights from brilliant minds and dedicated hosts. Our mission is a collective effort. Together, let's make a difference in spirit and in action to help 100 schools grow. Okay, welcome back, everyone. If you are just joining us, I'm Karl Boehm. I am your host here on the second episode of Help 100 Schools, and I'm also the founder and the chief growth strategist over at Everest Private School Growth Group, which is a digital marketing communications firm that specifically helps private schools grow. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, specifically helping schools, 20 years in marketing. And I am joined again by my co-host, Rich Suttie. And Rich has been in education governance for a long time, both in faith and private-based K through 12 schools, undergraduate, graduate education. He was in the Navy. I like to think of him as part of the original Top Gun. And before going into private education administration, he ended his Navy career as an assistant dean and professor, researching in the area of institutional leadership and advancement. We are continuing on our series about the moment for private schools, the private school moment. And in the previous episode, we introduced this topic and gave a kind of a quick lay of the land. And now what we want to do is give you a little bit more information and help you understand how to capitalize on the moment. How do you feel about that, Rich? How are you doing?
Yeah, it's going to be fun today. This is an opportunity for schools across the nation to strengthen who they are and what they're delivering, and sustain that over time.
Outstanding. Well, we talked a little bit about the pillars, but I think now it's more about the steps. Am I right about that? What do you think?
It is. Yeah, we mentioned last week that the private school moment is defined by this resurgence in growth across private schools, faith-based and secular. We talked about the primary drivers to that growth that schools probably are experiencing across the board. Over 93% report they had significant growth in the last 3 years. So there were multiple reasons for that growth. But now, today, we want to talk about what you should be thinking about doing given that growth, and what opportunities it might provide you. And we've got a list of 5 or 6 we'd like to share today.
Outstanding. What's the first step we should talk through?
Well, when you have growth, it's a little bit like a windfall. And given any windfall for anybody, whether it's a family or an institution, it's an opportunity to play catch up. So what do we mean by that? Well, you can pay off. For the first time in a long time, your revenue is exceeding your expenses, and it's an opportunity to maybe pay off some debts, to lower the debt ratio anyway, and strengthen your school's financial ability to sustain downtimes in the future if that should happen again. I would like schools that are really taking advantage of this are actually implementing what we call a strategic budget instead of just an operational budget. And so a strategic budget is 3 to 5 years out, and you're actually doing the budget, and you're actually looking at out years in terms of what the major drivers might be to expenses. And many times expenses are not annual. They're every other year, every third year. Service agreements are like that, for instance. But you can also forecast faculty requirements much better that way. And this private school moment resurgence in enrollment, therefore revenue, allows schools, the trade space, to do a strategic budget.
Well, what perfect timing as we record here in the summer.
Yes.
People are, I'm sure, between vacations are thinking about what they need to do to regroup and be more strategic.
Yeah, and they don't need to invent anything. We've got help if anyone wants to call in or ask or send us a note. We've got templates for that, and we can help them do that. And that relates, the second major thing they can do is right in our sweet spot, of course, and that's marketing, because now's the time to reestablish your value proposition with all of the people that are either new to you or are have been with you, but you want to retain them and you want them to understand, exactly why, how things are good for them in this moment. And we know one of the good things, we talked about it last week, we've got data that we can send out for these messages, but just a week ago, the data came out across the nation for third grade, fourth grade proficiencies and standardization testing, middle school, early high school, and there was 2 years of loss, learning loss, now has been recorded and validated for students in public education in many locales. 2 years for math and a year and a half for the English and literacy studies. We see 13% to 62% in terms of proficiency at grade level. These are great messages to market without bashing the public system. That's not the point. It's just to differentiate who you are in the private school and what you're providing and how you're sustaining quality and excellence. And those are important messages. The other message that I'll add in a marketing, one other message of many that I think we can help with is is really customer service. Now, it sounds funny to say that in some cases, but honestly, when the government schools are coming out almost anti-parent engagement. No, you can't see the curriculum. No, you can't know what we're teaching. No, you can't know what's in our library. You can't know those things. In fact, you have to go to a lawyer and ask for freedom of information before we're ever going to give that to you. In the private school systems, no, you're actually part of the solution. You probably can be a parent on the curriculum committee. And that's a completely different story, and one that the private schools should be helping parents who are, again, with them now, or new parents or potential parents in the pipeline really understand through a comprehensive marketing campaign.
Right. Well put. And as you know, Rich, that topic is quite near and dear to my heart. The notion of the value proposition and increasing the accuracy of messaging
Yep.
to their pain, right? Because
Yep.
what you're describing is really a, let's face it, it's a brutal reality.
Yeah.
It's a brutal truth that represents an absolute pain point, which I would bet that 99% of the private schools that are listening to this are solving, right? That
Yeah. No,
they need
and they're
to
doing a
to
great
kind of
job. The
speak from the
national
rooftops.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. We've got all the data for the same tests out of the private school systems, and they're significant percentage points above, and they have been for quite a while. So it's a sustainable good that's coming from there. And our intent's not to bash the public system at all. The public system is essential. We hope that it improves. Reforms have proven to be incredibly difficult. Private schools show private institutional agility, private institutional ability to serve and do so in many more ways and at a much higher level of quality and excellence. So those are some of the opportunities, but there's even more. This is your opportunity to, as you look at those messages, as you look at the communications plans, to establish them. First of all, if you haven't, to make a communications and marketing plan a part of your strategic plan. If you haven't already done it, now is the time. You have a little bit more resource to invest in these types of activities and core processes. Do it. Take the time. Reinvest in your business. You've got maybe a little more tuition than you've had in the past. Reinvest that back in your core processes. Take advantage of this opportunity. Um, Look at your core values and your culture. See how that's so differentiated now from what's happening. There's trending. We all know what trending is in the modern era. Well, private schools are trending, government schools are trending, and they're trending like this. So as that gap widens, take advantage of that gap, and that's your core values. So reestablish those or articulate those, and then put that into your marketing and communication plan and show the value of your core values as opposed to what's happening elsewhere. So that's another opportunity that's
Rich, let me
presented
let me just
now.
interject something there,
Yeah.
and that is that if, of course, you might be listening to this years later, we're recording summer 2023. However, as we speak, we are putting together a program, a done with you style program, where we can help you build your strategic plan, your strategic marketing plan. So we want you to be really ready with an evolved enrollment funnel and process. It's beginning the next school year. So if you're listening to this, then please do go to help100schools.com and check out what programs we've got ready for you. And we'll make sure that that is called out. And if for some reason you don't see something that you're interested in, then just reach right out to us. Uh, we'll be very happy to speak with you. So with that being said, Rich, would you like to move to the next item?
Yeah, and the next one is sort of the one that is more of the obvious one. So the one that often doesn't get done is strengthening core processes and those core services that you're talking about. Now's the time. Invest in those. Shore them up. And I'll tell you why. Because in our next session, we're going to talk about the challenges and threats that are going to be coming down the road. And if you take time to reinvest now in those core processes of marketing, communication, admissions, enrollment, and others like those, the budget, the strategic plan, the budget, the strategic budget, you're going to put yourself in really good standing. The last one that is represented obviously in the opportunity now is expansion. So if your growth is leading you to believe that strategically it's time to grow the school in a step increase, for instance, a new building, a campaign, etc. Well, you want that also to be tied directly into your overall identity, your brand management, your marketing, your communications. You want that to just strengthen it. Sometimes expansion dilutes your culture, dilutes your brand, and dilutes who people think you are. And so it should be carefully thought through. But the opportunity is now, since people are looking for a private school option.
Well put. Excellent. Alrighty. Well, I think that's about the agenda for episode 2. For episode 3, would you like to give a reminder on the agenda for that one there, Rich?
Yeah, so challenges are coming. So everything's cyclical. Everything's got a cycle to it. The sine wave and all that fun stuff we learned about in terms of business cycle is the truth. Right now, we're riding a crest. Take advantage of it. That was the message for today. We'd like to help if we can. We're very accessible, easy, and we know right where you are. However, building in some foundational strengths now while you do and while you take advantage of those opportunities can create resiliency. Institutional resiliency is a best practice, and it's a good to great, right? So we know Jim Collins, that's a good to great. If you can take if the business cycle, and it has been in private school education, some troughs, some peaks, some valleys, some peaks, we need to dampen those so that the valleys aren't so low. And we think we can help. And next week, we're going to talk about some of those things you can do now during the private school moment to be more resilient for the future.
Excellent. Push through those challenges. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Rich. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you would like to discuss any aspect, how to better position and or market your school for growth and retention of the good families you have now, I'd be most happy to speak with you and go over what you might consider for your marketing, your promotions, your communications, and strategic plans. And of course, Rich and I will be very happy to team up and talk to you. We have a portfolio of options that can equip and train your staff, assess your current posture, improve your messaging to prospective families, current families, and alumni. We have a variety of budgeting options and many free sources that we'd be happy to share with you as well. So you can find us at www.help100schools.com. We really appreciate you being an active listener, and we're grateful for all that you do in educating the next generation in this country. And with that being said, take care. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
We are grateful for your support of the Help 100 Schools movement. Thank you for listening and for showing up. Now, please help us multiply the impact by reviewing, sharing, commenting, and staying engaged with us and our mission to help 100 schools grow. The future of education is in your hands. To learn more about today's topics, how to be more involved, and how to access our free resources designed to aid in your own mission, go to help100schools.com.